Welcome to
What's Cookin'?
I'm Deb.
And I'm Norma.
And today we're making you yummy comfort food. I'm starting off with a ground turkey roll with a mushroom rice filling.
And I'm going to be doing a Chipotle cheddar corn casserole as an accompaniment.
I'm doing a grilled asparagus in the oven. I guess it's grilled. And it's got pine nuts and onions in it. Super delicious.
And to top it off, we will have dessert. We are going to make a French galette,
Ooh.
otherwise known as an apple tart.
Yummy. So let's get started. And now on to our turkey roll with mushroom rice filling. So you take about a quarter of a cup, actually about a fourth of a pound of mushrooms. I like to use white mushrooms. You can use brown mushrooms. I guess you could use other types of mushrooms, shiitake and some of the other, but for our purpose, I'm using the button mushrooms. So we've cut up the mushrooms, and as you can see, they're thin slices, and when you put them into the pan, they're going to shrink down. It's called sweating, and they'll shrink down a little bit, and they'll be perfect for our turkey roll once we get that together. So Norma, if you can pop these in, it takes about 5 minutes or so to make them,
to sweat them out and cook them, and then they're going to reduce down, right?
Correct. And the other thing, you don't want them super brown, but you want them a little browned, with the butter, and it's absolutely delicious. So add a nice flavor into the roll. So if you can go ahead and take that. So now we're going to make our turkey roll. So I like to use turkey. You can use ground beef if you prefer. So we're going to start with 1 egg, and I crack it open and put this in. Then I like to add our ingredients. So I'm adding about a teaspoon of Grandparents' Worcestershire sauce. It just adds nice flavor. Then add about a teaspoon or two. You can use ketchup, or I like to use barbecue sauce. It makes it a little sweeter. Instead of using a cut up onion, I like to use onion soup mix because it's got some nice flavors and it's much easier, and it also has some seasoning in there. Then I again like to use my porterhouse seasonings. Adds just a little bit more, so I have about a teaspoon of this seasoning.
And if somebody doesn't have porterhouse seasoning, they can use any type of all seasoning.
Yeah, any type of seasoning, or just add some onion powder and garlic powder and whatever else you want. And so then we mix it all together really, really good. So it looks like this. So it's sort of a brown sauce, and it's all mixed together. And then the fun part begins, because you get to stick your hands in it, like Norma likes to do, and make it all mush together. So we take, this is 1 pound of turkey, ground turkey. And here we go. So you can sort of mush it with a spoon for a minute, but then you're going to get in there with your hands. And
it's always better to cook with your hands.
Yeah.
You really can get things
fun.
going. I know.
Yeah.
I see people using spoons, and it's like,
Yes.
very difficult.
Yeah. And our hands are clean. We did wash them. So the next thing that we need to do, Norma, if you can just move this to the side for me, please. And I use parchment paper. This one, there's 2 in there. Perfect. And what we do is we're going to pat this out. So as you see, there's a couple things that aren't quite mixed in, so you can still mix it a little bit on here. And you're going to want to make it sort of like a triangle and not too flat. I feel like you're playing with clay.
Yeah, a triangle, that's different.
Not a triangle, sorry, rectangle.
Oh, okay.
I guess you could do a triangle, but for today's purposes, it needs to be a rectangle. So the next thing that we do is we're going to mix our rice put this on here.
So you've already pre-cooked the rice.
I pre-cooked the rice, yes, and I'm putting, that's about a quarter of a cup of rice. So then you put the rice and you leave like a little, about an inch all the way around here. And we put that on. And then we add a couple teaspoons of the parsley. And I just sprinkle this on. It gives it a nice flavor. You can use fresh parsley. You can use, this is dried parsley. It's very good. And then, how are our mushrooms doing?
They're ready.
Okay, so if you bring those over and put those on top of this.
Okay, let me.
Oh, they smell so good. And it gives that warm, wintry, yummy flavor. So just put those on right there. Keep adding.
These don't have to cool down?
Nope. And you have a yummy, yummy inside filling.
We are done.
So now we're going to do the roll. And as you see, my fingers are still gooey with all the other stuff, but that's okay. So now you're going to slowly make this into a roll. So you lift here and you lift over. You want to hold this and press.
Ah,
And then you scoop, if there's any extra, you just put that on like that. And then you lift again and you press over. And then you can take it from this side, because it does come apart. I don't know if you can see that. It sort of comes apart, and you want to make sure that your seam is secured. So some of the mushrooms have come out a little bit. We're going to stuff those in and sort of mush it together. And it's a nice size meatloaf. And what we're going to do is actually,
you can transfer it just
you can
right
transfer,
in.
instead of switching sheets, you can put it right in here. And what I'm going to do, so I don't need all of this paper, kind of put it down. And the nice thing about this is you don't have a huge mess to clean up when you're done. Now, if you want to, you can add some bacon on top. You can add, you can wrap it with bacon, like if you have a couple bacon strips to put around there. I'm just trying to get this down a little bit, just so.
Or you could take scissors and cut around it
yes,
too.
I could have, but.
That looks great. Yeah, that looks
And
great.
so you're ready to go. And now this will, let me make sure that's underneath there. And so it'll bake, and then all the juices, everything will go in there. So I have a little bit of bacon bits that you can buy, and I'm just going to sprinkle these on the top, and I'll give it a nice crusty, delicious bacony flavor.
Oh, that looks
And then
fantastic.
I have some pre-cooked, you can buy them in a bag, of the onions.
Yeah,
I'm going to wait towards the end of baking this. This will take about 50 minutes to bake, and then probably about 40 minutes into it, I'll open it, and then I'll put the bacon, the
onion rings.
The onions,
Yeah.
French fried onion rings, I guess that's what they are. Anyway, put that on top, and it'll be delicious. So let's pop it in the oven and get started with our next one. And now we're going to get started with our yummy, delicious asparagus.
Super easy and super yummy.
Yes, it's an onion, pine nuts, a little bit of seasoning salt, a little bit of olive oil from our favorite Antica olive oil, and you're ready to go.
Excellent. So let's get started. Show us what to do.
Okay, so you take asparagus, this has already been washed, and you cut off the ends. Norma and I were laughing the other day because my daughter, one of my daughters, doesn't like the tips. I think those are the best
I
part.
think so too.
But so anyway, we're going to cut off the ends like so. About, I don't know, about that much. And again, like I said, these are pre-washed. So all you're going to do is put them in your baking dish. So just because there's a few of us, I'm not doing a whole bunch, but the more people you have, the more you want to have in there. Have the onions and the olive oil. So what you do is you take your onion, and because I only have such a small amount, I'm going to use only half an onion. Normally, like when I cook for 4 or more, I use a whole onion. And the idea is that you want it sort of,
Does it matter what kind of onion?
a white onion I think is best, or a yellow onion. I think this is a yellow onion. So I add olive oil, but I pour in about a half a cup. So it's pretty well covered,
Yeah,
as you can
that
see.
looks good.
So here we go. And then you put it into the microwave for about 5 minutes. So why don't we do that? Okay, so I've just pulled the onions out, and as you can see, they're sauteed.
Yeah, they look
So
sauteed.
easy. You don't have to do it on your stove. No splashing, no mess.
So if you have less onions, you cut the time.
Yes, yeah, because you don't want to fry your onions in there because that can happen very easily. So I'm just gonna take them because this is really hot. Put on a little bit, like sort of a
seasoning.
My favorite porterhouse. Sort of sprinkle on a little bit. And then you add the pine nuts. I like lots of pine nuts. I just pour them on. And now you can bake this in the oven at 350 for maybe, depending on your oven, 7 to 10 minutes, or you can pop it in the microwave for about 3.
So next we're going to do a Chipotle cheddar corn casserole. Super easy, yummy, and perfect for the winter time.
Yes.
So let's get
Warm
started.
up our insides.
Absolutely. So the first thing you want to do is you want to get a casserole dish. This is about roughly a 1 to 2 quart dish, and you prepare it so you can put butter and whatnot, but I prefer just using spray.
Do you want me to do that for you?
Oh, that's okay. So here's a tip. Take it to your sink, spray it there, because that way you get all the vegetable spray in your sink and not on your counter. Little tips, that's what life's all about. So next I'm gonna set this aside and get ready, because this is Chipotle peppers and in Chipotle sauce, which is a little bit spicy.
How spicy is it for those that don't like a lot of spice?
If you don't like a lot of spice, this gives it a smokiness. I would use diced green chilies that come in a can. Those are a lot more mild.
And you leave the seeds in.
So I'm leaving it in, and I'm dicing it and chopping it. And when you're done, wash your hands, because the last thing you want to do is touch your face.
Ugh, you have chili in your eye.
The worst. So you can see, here it is. So you take 2 eggs. Okay, we're gonna put it in this bowl. Yes, thank you, Deb. Let's move this over. So you put the 2 eggs in, and 1 cup of heavy cream. Okay, so it goes in there, and we're going to whisk it. Okay, easy peasy. Next comes, yes, thank you. Next comes the Chipotle. I know, even as I'm adding it in, I'm like, ah. Okay, got that in there. Next, we're going to put in 1 cup of cheddar. Now, the original recipe said for half a cup, and you see I'm putting a sprinkle of salt and pepper, but I thought it needed to be cheesier. And if you can't do heavy cream, you can use coconut milk or coconut cream. If you use coconut milk, you're going to want to use a slurry, and that is where you take a little bit of the milk, add some cornstarch, and thicken it up just a little bit, and then you can add it in here. But it can be almond milk, but I think the flavor profile might be too altered, so
That change it a lot.
yeah. So to that, you're going to add 5 cups of thawed frozen corn. So now we're mixing it all together. I'm so excited, I'm throwing my corn everywhere. So again, here we go.
Now, if you wanted to use, let's say, a jack cheese or a different type of cheese.
If you want to eliminate the peppers, you could use pepper jack cheese, which will still give it that spicy profile, and you've got your cheese in here. So here we go. We're sticking it into the oven, 375 for 30 minutes. We are going to make a French tart, otherwise known as a galette.
Ooh,
la la.
Bonjour, bonjour.
So it's fairly easy to make. You can see the ingredients. We have apples,
Yum.
brown sugar,
Yum.
chopped pecans.
Double yum.
This is apricot preserves, which we're going to melt down, and some lemon juice. So you start off with, actually 1 apple will make 2 tarts. And so over here, we also use puff pastry. And I buy the puff pastry that's already squared. If you can't find it in your market that's already squared, you can get a regular puff pastry sheet, and you're going to cut off a square approximately this size. So
it's about what? 4 by 4, 4
Yeah,
by 3, 3
something like
by
that.
3. Something like that. Whatever.
okay, so get a good cooking apple, or you can use, this is, I think, Pink Lady. You can use a Jonathan. You can use a variety of apples. So what you're going to do is slice it down. Then you're going to, I'm cutting off the ends. And then you're going to core it so you can, I do a V. You can take a spoon and dig it out, but you want to get all of the seeds out. Come out. Okay, so it's out. And so it looks like this. So now you're going to slice it here at this angle.
So it looks like this. When
Right. And you're slicing it thin, as Debbie said, like this. If you do it thicker, that's fine too, but you're gonna have to cook it longer. So we've already cut up an apple here. The lemon juices, if you cut it up in advance, put it with some lemon juice and some water, set it aside. The lemon juice keeps it from discoloration.
Does it add a lemon flavor?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Okay, so we've got this going. Okay, perfect. So to this, we're going to add some brown sugar. And we have roughly here about 1/2 cup of brown sugar or so.
Just put it in?
So just put it in. Okay, and mix it. And maybe it's a lot of brown sugar because I usually
It tastes better.
do my apples, whatever, but you want to mix it around and make sure it's really coated.
And
Okay.
it sort of sticks, so you can see it sticking
Yeah.
to the apple.
Yeah, it's all good. So then you have that there. So then we're gonna bring this over. And to this, it's just about the right size. I love all these little gadgets. So I have this, so I'm going to just spread it out just a tad, okay, not much.
So it's more like a 4 by 4.
Yeah, so just a little bit. There we go. To make room for the apples, and we're going to layer it. And I'm using this on top of parchment paper because you can transfer it straight from here onto a baking sheet into the oven.
Easy.
So easy peasy.
And less cleanup.
Exactly. All right, so this looks pretty good. So now we're going to take the apples, whoop, in between us. We make the same sounds at the same time. Okay, and we're going to layer them like this. So you're going to overlap them one on top of the other. Okay.
This needs a little
And-
more brown.
And you need to leave the ends so that because of the puff pastry, it'll need to puff out. So what we're going to do is you take a fork and you're going to go around like this, and that's going to keep it from puffing up where you've got your apples.
Oh, wow.
So just go around.
So will it come up like a...
It's going to come up, but again, it won't be bad because the apple part will not come up.
Well, just these little holes in there.
Okay, so next what we're going to do, you could do this before or after. We'll do it now just to see, but I'm going to heat up to this. We're going to have, as I said, the apricot jam. So this is about 3 tablespoons, way more than what you need. But just get 1 or 2 and that'll be fine. Okay, we've got our little pastry brush. Perfect. Mix it in here, dab it on, and we can use it afterwards too
Yes.
as a sauce. Whoop. This is now going to go into the oven, and we're going to do it for roughly about 20 minutes. And whoop, We're sticking it in at 400 degrees.
And what happens to the nuts? Do you cook with the nuts in it or not?
I wait for the very end and put them on afterwards so the nuts don't burn.
So here you see is our final product. So we have the turkey roll with the rice and the mushroom filling. And then we have the asparagus with pine nuts and onions.
And then over here we have the Chipotle cheddar corn casserole, as you can see there. And we have the dessert. We made the easy French apple galette or tart, as we say in America.
My mouth is watering. So let's dig in. I'm going to cut a little piece so we can try. Again, everything is just so good. Just going to cut this in half. Move some over for you. And then here's some of the
Chipotle cheddar
corn casserole.
Okay,
All right, manja.
here we go. So good.
And it blends in so nicely.
The flavors really come together in there. So good.
And for a winter's evening
Oh, it's
or
perfect.
lunch, it just warms you up. And it's pretty to look at.
I love the asparagus with the sauteed onions and the pine nuts.
And the corn casserole is delicious too.
All right, so let's cut this. And my fork is on this end, so hold it there. Okay. And then we've been around each other so much.
Yes. I'm just going to put it right here.
Okay, here we go.
Piece. Oh, really good.
Really good. Super easy.
And it looks beautiful. So your presentation, I'm always about the presentation. You are too. And it's got a beautiful, it's like you went to a pastry shop and you did it because Norma just laid each apple one in front of the other. And it's a beautiful presentation.
The key to it is I put some apricot jam on it so it cooked, but then I finished off, I reheated it, and when I plated it, glazed it with the apricot jam and then sprinkled the nuts again. And it's really delish.
So enjoy. Thank you for joining us today. We so appreciate it. And come back to see what's cooking.
Bye.